workout today, first official day. And today we have our first Zoom call of the spring with Phillies manager Joe Girardi. Later on today, we'll have pitcher Aaron Nola available. So as usual, everybody knows the rules. Raise your hand. Please keep yourself on mute when you're not asking a question, and we will get started. Let's start with Kristen Rogers from Fox, and then we will go to Rob Maddie from the Associated Press.
Hello, Joe.
Hi, Kristen.
Happy Pitchers and Catchers Day.
Thank you.
You know, spring training is kind of the last event in the sporting world that we haven't truly had in this COVID pandemic. What has it been like for you guys to make this return, knowing that we're almost a full year from when COVID first hit us?
Well, I think everyone's always excited to get back because it's what we love to do. And the good thing is we went through all of this in spring training 2.0 in the season, and we're pretty familiar with what we've had to do. I think since that time of last year, I think Major League Baseball and the trainers and health officials have even made it safer for us, and we'll continue to follow all those protocols. But it sure was nice. We had a little rain today, which kind of dampened, what we got to see. We had to have BP inside, and the guys did their work off the mounds inside. But still, it was nice to get back to baseball.
Hey, Joe, as you look at your team, how are you? As you enter spring training now and you look at everything and you assess it, what do you feel best about? What do you feel most confident in? What areas of this team?
Well, I think we've done a lot to strengthen our pitching and to bring in power arms. I think it was something that we lacked last year in the back end of our bullpen, and I think we've done a really good job of bringing those arms in. You look at a lot of our team, a lot of it's the same as last year. We brought Didi back, we brought JT back. The offense is going to be pretty similar. We're going to have Baum for a whole year. We've added depth in our starting rotation, which I think is really important because I don't think any of us are quite sure how everyone's going to react to only playing 60 games last year. I've talked about some starting pitchers that could take a little bit more of a toll on, and I think that depth is going to be really important.
Okay, now we'll head to Scott Lauber from the Inquirer and then Matt Gelb from the Athletic.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Scott.
You mentioned having gone through a lot of these same protocols last year during summer camp and then again during the season. There are some enhancements, right? Like some contact tracing enhancements and stuff like that. How did you sort of feel like day one went in terms of everybody kind of getting adjusted to the new things? And what do you think of some of these new protocols might be the hardest to get acclimated to?
Well, I think the contract tracing will make it a lot easier on our trainers and everyone that was involved in all those calls that took place. And I think it will happen quicker because of some of the methods that they're going to use. As far as today, I think guys adapted pretty well. And I think so much of it is because we went through it last year. Most of the guys in camp went through some semblance of this, whether they were in the big leagues here, someplace else, whether they were in the alternate sites. There's still some kids that are going to have to get a little bit more acclimated, but a lot of those kids went through instructional ball for us and went through it as well. So I think our guys handled it pretty well today, and we will continue to remind them to be diligent in their efforts, washing hands, using your mask, really in a sense, staying in your little bubble. I know you have to get food and pick up food, but we have a number of things that we're asking them to follow, and they did a great job last year, and I expect them to do it this year.
Can you tell us whether you had everyone available to you today that you expected to have available today?
Yes, we did. We have a few guys that still have not arrived to camp due to some visa issues, but everyone that we expected to participate today participated.
Thank you.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Matt.
Could you tell us who wasn't there because of visa issues or no?
Yeah, let me look at my list. I brought it in, so if you see the top of my head, I apologize. Feliz, Llovera, Suarez, Morales, and Betancourt.
Okay. We had asked you this before, and you guys said you would wait till the spring to get an idea. Do you have a clear idea of how you'll handle Spencer Howard this spring? Is he on a different program than everyone else? Is he going to be a little slower progressions?
No, He will compete for a spot in the rotation. So he is not on a slower progression. If he was to start, we would anticipate that he would be a fourth or fifth starter, and you might see him, during his progression in spring training, he may not go the normal progression. He might go a little slower, but really, I mean, he's in competition. So we need to try to get him ready to see where he's at.
And can you just speak to, you have the benefit of hindsight now from last spring, but how much better, if you think it is better, is the caliber of competition in this camp with regards to your bench, your bullpen, the rotation even? Do you feel like how much better is the caliber of the competition?
I think it's really hard to say until you actually get into games, but my initial thought is it's substantially better because I think there's more experience. The guys that we've brought in to compete for spots in the bullpen have experience. I mean, one guy was second in saves last year in the National League in Kinsler. So a lot of these guys have 5 years experience, 7 years experience, 10 years experience. So I think the competition will be much better.
All right, next up, we'll go to Jeff Skversky from Channel 6 and then Matt Breen from The Inquirer.
Hey, what's up, Joe? Hope
Hi,
all's
Jeff,
well.
how are you?
Good. Stuck at home.
Yeah.
Wanted to ask you, do you get a sense, and I know it's day one, I know it's early, but do you get a sense just how much, your at least pitchers and catchers are just chomping at the bit, and, the way last year finished, leaving a bad taste in everyone's mouth to really kind of get going here?
I sensed it today. Today was kind of strange because usually when you throw bullpens in a normal spring training, you'll have 6 or 7 guys throwing at once, and you walk behind the mounds and you look at every guy. Today we had 3 guys going at once, and they were inside cages. So to get from one cage to the other, you had to go in and out, and it was a little bit difficult. But we've had guys that have thrown 7 or 8 bullpens already before even getting to camp, and I think that's a pretty good volume. Archie was extremely excited to show us everything he had today, and was excited about his curveball, and reiterated to me that I'll do whatever. I just want to pitch in tough situations and get outs. I don't care what inning it is. So there's a sense of excitement here, and guys really want to have a good finish, get to the playoffs, and see what we can do.
Is it too early to even say, is there more of guys focused, guys angry, still angry at what happened last year? Is there any of that, or is everyone kind of come in just with a different mindset? You get any sense of that at all?
Well, I think there's a mindset of determination to complete the task. I think that's the mindset, and I've seen that, and you see a lot of that just in the off-season programs that these guys complete and the shape that they come in. And that's always encouraging to me. And I think the competition in our camp is going to bring out the best in everyone.
Hey, Joe. I know you're a sports fan, so I know you're aware of the difficulties that the NHL and the NBA and college basketball's had. Do you see that, and does that give you a concern, or do you just point to, like you said earlier, that you've been through this, MLB knows how to do it, and you think you'll be fine?
Well, I think there's always a concern. And I think as soon as you say there isn't, you've let your guard down. So I think that we always have to keep our guard up. And, it's incumbent on, the staff, the players, and everyone involved to just be really responsible. I mean, that's what we have to do. And we will continue to harp on that. I really think that us going through it last year gives us a better example of what to expect and what we need to do to be successful. And I think our guys will continue to do that. We traveled last year. The NBA, when they came back, did not travel. Hockey, I believe they were in a bubble as well, right? The NFL did a pretty good job, and they traveled. And I know they don't travel as much as we do, but they did a really good job. So, and sometimes I really believe, I think the scare that we went through last year with Miami and St. Louis was really eye-opening for everyone, how quickly this can be taken down. So our guys remained diligent throughout the season last year, and we expect the same.
And Odubel is going to be at camp. What that group that he's in, how does that differentiate from Major League spring training? And does a player in that group have a shot to compete for a job on the opening day roster?
Yeah. Well, when you take, a Dougal as an example, he hasn't played for a while, right? I mean, his last time that he played wasn't really in 2019. He struggled at the end of 18. He struggled in the beginning of 19. And we just are not sure where he's at, physically and with his baseball skills. Obviously, we will at times use players from the mini camp playing games just because we need the bodies. You start talking about, you bring all these players here and some of them aren't here, and you have games that are starting and you need a lot of pitching, to play these games, that people are going to get an opportunity. And whenever you step on the baseball diamond, you have an opportunity to open someone's eyes. And that's the way I look at it. So Odubel, we will pay attention to people in the mini camp, and we will pay special attention to the guys in big league camp. But I'm going to watch everyone. Catchers are going to come over every day to help catch. I'm going to watch how they receive. I'm going to watch how they block, because in the back of your head, you're always saying, okay, if somebody goes down during the season and this guy's in the minor leagues, I want to be familiar with them and know what they're capable of doing. So he will have the opportunity, and he has to prove himself.
Thanks, Joe.
We'll go to Todd Zalecki from MLB.com, and then Jim Salisbury from NBC Sports Philly.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Todd.
Hey, Kinsler and Tony Watson both had really good years last year, and Rondon, not last year, but the years before, he was really good. And they're all non-roster guys, which makes making up the roster kind of difficult. Is it possible that you could have 2, 3, or more non-roster guys make this team, knowing that it's day one and you haven't pitched yet?
I think, Todd, anything is possible. And those are obviously discussions that happen at a level above me, in a sense, when it comes to how many roster spots we have. But I know that the Middletons, the Bucks, Dave Dombrowski, Sam Fold, we're in this to win it, right? That's why we're here. So I really believe that we're going to try to formulate the best team possible. Now, in saying that, sometimes you can't just be short-sighted and say, well, we're going to do this for a week and we're going to lose a guy in the roster, that sort of thing. But I really believe that we're going to put the best team forward, because we know the importance of game 1, game 2, because our division is going to be really, really tough. And we got to make sure that we're prepared for that.
Thanks.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Jim.
So it sounds like Odubel will see some action possibly at times in Grapefruit League play.
It is possible, right? Anyone over there, we are eligible to bring up to play in games. Now, are there guarantees? No, there's no guarantees. But, you have to start to look at who's available when. Do you need extra players? Because you can't just – it's not like AAA, AA, single A are here where you can just go pull anyone. So you have to pull from the available people.
Have you talked to the leaders in your clubhouse about whether he will be accepted into that room if indeed he makes the team?
Yeah, I have talked to some of the players about it. And here's really, to me, the important thing, right? This was collectively bargained between the commissioner and the players, right? So, and he's afforded a chance to prove to his teammates, to the fans of Philadelphia, the organization, that he is a changed person. The collective bargaining agreement allows for redemption, and he's trying to earn a spot back. He's also trying to earn the respect of a lot of people back, because obviously it took a hit when the domestic violence came out. So to me, it's important that he proves himself to everyone. And he's been afforded that chance because of the collective bargaining agreement.
Do you anticipate any objections from your guys in your clubhouse about if he makes the team?
Well, Jim, I think everyone's going to have a different opinion on this. And I'm okay with that, right? My opinion, your opinion, this outfielder's opinion, this infielder's opinion, this pitch is all going to be different. But there are a lot of situations in life that are like that, that we all have to deal with. So whatever happens, we got to find a way to deal with it, right? So it will be a topic of conversation. It will be a pulse that I'm always checking in the room to make sure that guys are okay. But we are not allowed to keep a player
I understand.
from being a participant because maybe somebody doesn't like him.
Is an objection, close to April when you're picking your roster, is an objection in that room important enough to you as the manager who essentially presides over team chemistry to say this is not going to work?
I think that it's important, Jim, that I have the feeling of the clubhouse that we do what's best for the organization and for our team moving forward and the production that we can put out. I think it's really important that we take these things into account. But again, the collective bargaining agreement does not allow us to punish a player further than he's already been punished. We're not allowed to do that. So that was something that was negotiated and that we all have to deal with.
I understand. I'm sorry?
I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I just was wondering, like, I'm sure you've talked to you guys, the current feeling that we're all for this, we're or we're no.
I really haven't got a sense that everyone is the same.
Okay.
I think
Right.
some guys are going to be more forgiving. Some guys are going to be less forgiving. That's just the world we live in. But we're playing by the rules. And in our society, we have rules for a reason. And it's important that we play by them.
So if this kid plays himself onto the team, do you feel like you have some work to do in the room in terms of making everybody kind of open arms or accepting, you know what I'm saying?
I think that's possible.
Okay.
There may be guys that never have open arms, but I would ask, that everyone gives him a chance to prove himself. That's all, right? I mean, he's got to prove himself to me as well, and in a lot of different fronts. But I would ask that everyone gives him the opportunity because none of us are perfect, right? We've all fallen short. I mean, that's the bottom line. And some things are considered obviously worse than others. I get that in the eyes of the beholder, but none of us are perfect.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
All right, we're going to go to John Clark from NBC and then Matt Gelb from The Athletic.
Hey, Joe, you talked about having your offense pretty much back and you improved pitching. So overall, would you say on paper that this team is improved or much improved?
I would say yes, but this paper doesn't mean a lot, right? We have to go out and prove it, and guys have to play up to their potential. And that's what spring training is all about, getting guys in the best possible position to go out and compete starting April 1st. And we will work very, very hard at that. But I like the improvements that we've made.
And one other quick question, because during the offseason, a lot of fans or media thought there could possibly be a rollback with the payroll because of obviously loss of revenue. But how much did it mean to you when you saw the commitment with the payroll with JT and DD and the other signings?
Well, I think it means a ton to all of us, I from top to bottom in this organization, because you want a chance to win. And I think, what John Middleton did and the Buck family did by allowing us, to spend the money on payroll that we did, they're making a commitment to winning and telling the fans we're going for it. And I applaud them for that because obviously, they had losses last year. Everybody had losses last year, but they've really stepped up, and now it's our job to reward them.
Joe, how do you envision using Brad Miller? His deal was official.
Yeah. I will play him at some different infield positions, possibly left field, a pinch hitter off the bench. He'll get some time at first base, probably early in camp, just because, Reese may not be starting right away playing in games. We're not holding him back. There are just things that, like McCutcheon had to do. They have to clear some hurdles. Nothing major. But Reese is doing all on-field activities with us. He hit today. He took grounders today. So we're really encouraged where he's at. But, he might be a few days behind, and that's okay because there's plenty of games for him to catch up.
Could Miller be a guy if, Kutch isn't going necessarily playing every game, every week? Could Miller be that guy who spells him regularly in left?
I'm definitely going to look at that. That's one thing, because obviously he does a lot of damage against right-handed pitchers. And that might be a day that you give Kutch off and get him, because if you're a guy that you're going to count on to pinch hit off the bench, they have to get some regular at bats or it's almost impossible. So we will definitely find starts for him in different spots.
All right, we'll take our final two questions. We'll go to Tim Kelly from Phillies Nation and then Scott Lauber from the Inquirer to finish it up.
Hey, Joe, I know Archie didn't want to talk about a specific role, but is there someone that's the favorite to be the closer right now? Is it Archie? Is it Hector? Is it somebody else?
I think it's something that we have to evaluate as we go through camp. And I've said all along, I would prefer to have some roles this year, to establish some roles. We tried last year. We just couldn't seem to get it done. But I think it's better for the staff. I think it's better for each individual if they have a better idea. It wasn't like we didn't give them an idea when they were going to throw last year. We gave them pockets that they would throw in. But sometimes that pocket could be in the 6th inning. Sometimes it could be the 8th. And I think it's a little bit harder. So we would like to establish that.
And then along those same lines, Sir Anthony went to the 60-day IL today. Is he on track to potentially play a role in the second half of the season?
Well, I think he had surgery in late July, and it's usually like 12 to 15 months, 13 to 15. So it is a possibility. I think things have to go right and there can't be really setbacks in that sense. But right now we're extremely happy with where he's at.
Joe, I think there's only one guy in all of baseball, Jacob deGrom, who's thrown more innings than Nola the last 3 years. If you layer on top, the weirdness of last year and guys having to kind of rebuild their arm strength for a full season, where do you sort of feel like Aaron's at in terms of his ability to carry that heavy load like he normally does? And, the last couple of years, his September has not, he's sort of fallen off a little bit. Is there any correlation, do you believe, between workload and that and what happens?
Scott, it's something that we've looked at. And, I don't really know how to evaluate last year because I was not with Aaron Nola every day in between. But Aaron Nola is an extreme worker, right? So the fact that he didn't throw 200 innings doesn't mean that he can't do it this year and that he's not on pace to do it, because he probably threw a lot more innings than he's getting credit for just in his preparation, keeping his arm going during spring training 1 and spring training 2. So none of us have the answers to all of those questions because we've never been through anything like this. I will watch him closely, but one of the things that we will continue to try to put our finger on is when does he get tired and what are the best things to do to help him combat that.
All right. Thanks, Joe, for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow, and everybody hang tight. We'll have Aaron Nola on shortly.
Thank you.